Hello everyone and welcome to Foundation. I have been looking forward to this one for a while now and finally we can start covering it on the channel. And before we get started, I have to let you know that I am actually partnered with the developers and they have granted me an early look at the pre-release version, and I am using that to record this footage, and that means that there might still be a couple of small issues along the way. In this version that I'm using, most of the bigger issues have been ironed out, but I cannot guarantee that we will not see a couple of small bugs along the way. But we might not, who knows. There was a early access version on Steam that was playable until now, but once we jump into the game, you will be able to tell that there are a lot of changes compared to that version. The UI, the graphics, everything has been overhauled in terms of visual presentation, and the game looks a lot nicer now. And some of the game mechanics have also been tweaked and changed slightly. So, you know what? I think the easiest way to show you that is going to be if we jump into the game proper. So let's go ahead and start a new game. And this is the screen where we can create our map. Now, there are three different kinds of maps that we can play on. A coastal map where, well, as you might have guessed, we are on the coast of the sea or a big lake. Or we can be along a river, or just out amongst the hills. Now, I do have a real life location that I want to get inspiration from, and that particular location is next to a river. I mean, technically speaking, it is actually at the delta of a river, but choosing between a coast and the river, I think I will go with the river. And as you can see, we have a couple of sliders that we can play around with. Let me just put all of these down to minimum and let me show you what they do. As you might have guessed, the river slider will make the river bigger, wider, and that's pretty self-explanatory. Now, the real life location that I want to get inspiration from has a narrow river next to it, so we will set this to minimum. The lake slider, as you might have guessed, just creates lakes with various sizes and numbers. Islands, this is basically the same just for, well, islands. This will create different size outcroppings in the river. The higher you put it, the more numerous and bigger they will be. Cliffs, this will determine the elevation difference between the water level and the buildable area. So if you set it to maximum, you can see that we will have slopes and cliffs along the river. If you want that, go ahead and raise it up. Now, the next one is going to be called a promontory. This is basically a big plateau or bluff that is positioned somewhere on the map. This is perfect for certain monuments, for example, a big keep or a monastery or something like that. Those kind of things would look rather nice on top of these hills. Next, speaking of hills, well, the hill slider will create, well, hills. Obviously, the higher you put it, the more numerous and bigger they will be. But as you can see, this will also cut back on the amount of flat land that you can build on. Let me just say that you can build on these hills, no problem, they will look amazing, but certain freeform buildings that you can build in the game might struggle with the elevation changes, so some of the buildings you might want to build on flat land. And last but not least, we have this slope slider. This will basically create a continuous slope from the edge of the map down to the water level. So if you set it to maximum, this will create a nice little river valley basically. And it can look amazing and beautiful, but as you might have guessed, it really cuts back on the amount of flat land that you can build on. Anyways, I already have a seed that I have set aside. If you want to play along, go ahead and copy this seed and you will get the same exact map. Basically, the seed has all the information that you want. It will have the map type and all the slider settings, and this is what we are going to go for. The reason I want to have this map is because we still have plenty of build space in the middle, and we also have the promontory. Well, basically the river really hogs that promontory and we have the steep cliffs right next to it, and I think that would look rather nice. Anyways, let's take a look at the next screen. and this is where you can customize the difficulty. There are a couple of presets ranging from casual all the way up to creative, but if you really wanted to, you can have a custom difficulty where you can fine-tune all of these settings to your heart's content. And there is one thing that I might want to change, this undepletable small mineral deposits option. By default, in classic difficulty, the small mineral deposits, for example for stone and iron, they are undepletable. So once you set them up, they will operate indefinitely. We might want to set them to be, well, limited. But you know what? No. I think I will leave them on unlimited, and once we have the actual big mine set up, we can actually get rid of those deposits, so they are not going to get in our way. Also, I do have the tutorial turned off. If this is the first time you are playing the game, you might want to have it on because it is a pretty decent onboarding process, but I am fairly familiar with the early parts of the game. I am nowhere near experienced, but I do understand most of the game mechanics. So if this is the first time you are playing, you might want to have it on, but for us, it's going to be okay. Let's take a look at the next screen. And this is a screen where you can choose your aspiration. Basically, you can choose which of the 3 factions you want to align with. For example, this will ask you to align with the crown, and they will ask you to build a big mighty stronghold. But there is a limitation, you cannot build a monastery, and I don't like that. Next, if you want to align with the clergy and build a prosperous priory, that means that you will have to build a monastery, but you cannot build a castle, you cannot have civilian population above 75, and you cannot promote anyone. That is a huge limiting factor, and once again, I am not a fan. Or if you want to build a prestigious burg, basically a big city, you cannot build a monastery or a castle. And once again, I am not a fan. Now, each of these do have a certain little quest line that you can follow that might make things interesting. But once again, I think I will be okay if we are missing out on that, in exchange to have the ability to build everything. So, to achieve that, we need to select this aspiration. This is basically a free play mode, you can build whatever you want, and that's going to be great. Anyways, let's go ahead and let's take a look at the next screen. And this is where we can finalize the game setup. Basically, we can name our town, our leader, and create a small heraldry for the town. And well, the real life location that I want to get inspiration from is actually in Scotland. Let me name it. If you say this out loud, you might already know what town I'm going for. Yes, it is actually going to be Inbhir Nis, but I decided to use the old Gaelic pronunciation, so we are going to play in Inbhir Nis. Obviously, our ruler will be called Muda, and right now we only have access to this pioneer title. As you play the game, we can unlock more of them. As for our heraldry, I don't think any of these symbols really go with what I have in mind, so I don't think we are going to have a symbol. But obviously, the shield itself, first let's select a shape. Let's go with, yeah, this rounded, and yeah, let's keep it simple. Let's use this shape. Now, as for the actual colors and shapes, I believe it's pretty obvious. We are going to have this cross, and we will have a blue background and a white foreground. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious why. Alrighty then, I think it is now time to get started. And welcome to Inbhir Nis. Well, if you have played the early access version before, you will immediately notice that the game looks a lot nicer now. And, well, since we are not using the tutorial, we can immediately get started. Now, the game actually breaks the map into these smaller, well, territories, and we need to select this one really carefully because Well, for the first two, we don't have to pay upkeep, but after the third one, we will have to pay upkeep, and they will cost a pretty penny. And in fact, you know what? I think this area already looks rather inviting. This one is not too bad either. I kinda like that it is so long, but I am not sure about how narrow it is. I mean, technically speaking, we will have a free territory pretty much immediately, so maybe we can buy this one as well, but you know what? Let's go with this one. Let me see. Yeah, in fact, you know what? I will go with this one because this is a little bit closer to the slopes going up to the plateau, which incidentally does look pretty nice. Yeah, we can have a nice castle here, maybe a small priory or monastery on this end. Yeah, I think I like that idea. Alrighty then, let's start here. And, well, to get started, we will have to first build a village center. As you might have guessed, this is the center of the village, obviously. Where should we put it? I think I will clear out all these trees eventually, so I think right here. Yeah, next to these stones. These stones will not be here forever. Eventually I will actually get rid of them. Okay then. And now we are a small hamlet. That's great. And we have access to a couple of extra buildings. Okay then, first is first, you know what, I will buy the next territory, and actually, this one has a lot of forest, so this might be great for hunting, for the first refined food source, or we could go for this one as well. This will open up a lot of area for, well, expanding the town. Or we could go for this one as well. Basically, yeah, we could have the town here and we could have resource extraction here. Yeah, let's go for this one. Definitely. And speaking of, I will set up some woodcutting areas. I think next to the river. Here, yeah. Basically, I might want to have a little bit of hunting later on in this forest, and we can have some woodcutting here. Not much, this much should be alright. One of the things that have changed since the early access version is that now we only have to designate trees for extraction. This is only for woodcutting. Previously, I believe we had to designate the stone deposits, the berries and all that kind of stuff. Now it is only relevant for trees because, well, we only really need to tell the woodcutters, okay, you guys can only cut down these trees. But we don't really need to do that for the stone cutters because, well, they will just go for the nearest stone deposit and that's fine. And the same goes for the berries as well. So, for example, we don't want to cut down these trees, then we don't designate them. That's it. And speaking of, we might want to start removing these trees, but you know what? We can have a couple of houses in the trees, that's fine. I think they would appreciate it. Anyways, the first building that we need to place down is a builder's workshop, and I would like to have it, let me see, where is the edge of the resource extraction? Right here. Okay, I will have the builders here, I guess. Basically, not in the forest, but on the edge, like that. Next up, oh, right. Next, we need to assign a couple of people to it, so I suppose 2 builders for the start should be enough. And you know what? I think we should just go down the list, and the next in line is going to be the village market. This is, well, as you might have guessed, this is where the people can get their food. Well, you might have noticed that there are a small symbol next to some of these building modules. These stars specifically signify that these will give us splendor. And to be more specific, this will give us labor splendor. If you remember, we have three different factions in the game. Silver is for the clergy, this bronze one is for the crown, and this yellow one is for the labor. So these yellow stars mean that we will get splendor from it. And speaking of splendor, you can treat it as kind of a experience point system. And you know what? I will actually just show you. If you hover over these, it will tell you how much splendor we will get from them. For example, this tent will give us 1, this sign will give us 2, this woodshed will give us 1, and so on and so forth. And if you take a look at the progression screen, you will see that to reach the next level in the labor tree, we will need to have 25 points. And the same goes for the kingdom tree and the same for the clergy tree. So 25, 25, then 75, and then 150, and last but not least, 300. We also have a fourth tree, a common path. Basically, we can buy stuff from here for money instead of for influence. And yeah, by the way, apart from splendor, we also need to manage influence. Basically, the currency that we can use for different factions to unlock their specific stuff. And well, since we are in the unlock screen, might as well go ahead and look at some of this stuff. For example, we will definitely need to unlock the manor house. Thank you. Then, well, right now we can only build a wooden church. If we really wanted to, we could unlock stone versions of those buildings, but I think at the start I will only build a small wooden church. That's going to be fine. Next, we will definitely need to unlock the storage for trading and storage. We can unlock fishing for a little bit of food variety. We don't need the bridges yet because, well, we don't have access to the other side of the river, but at some point we will, so you know what, might as well open it preemptively. And yeah, we can unlock fences, you know, just in case. And yeah, I will stop right here. I don't want to overspend. So here, let's give it a little bit more pizzazz so we can get a little bit of splendor. So this stand will be responsible for distributing berries. So you know what? Let's make it red. And let's give it a small sign just for a bit of extra decoration, like there. And I think I will leave it at that for now. Okay, this was our first modular building. There will be a lot more than that in the future. This will cost us 25 because, yeah, the tent costs us 25. Well, it will benefit us in the long run. Okay then, next in the list, oh right, we unlocked the storages. Yeah, I might as well place down the warehouse. I suppose here kind of makes sense. Once again, at the edge of the forest. Let's go for it. Next, a forester's camp. Okay then, before I place that one down, I might want to go for a lumber camp. Lumber camp is where we can, well, extract the trees from the forest. And yeah, right in the middle of this designation makes sense. So let's go ahead and place these guys down. Maybe have the resource depot facing towards the rest of the building, so something like this. Let's build it. Next up, the forester's hut. So, as I've said, this camp extracts the trees and the foresters will replant the trees. So something like this, I suppose, makes sense. Now, for the forester, we will need to designate an area, and this will only apply to this forester. So once it's built, we will need to do that. I believe we will have an icon that says that we don't have an area designated, so I don't think we will forget it. Next up, a sawmill. Yeah, we cannot build everything out of logs. Sometimes we have to build them out of, well, planks. So I suppose we can have it here. Sure. And as you might have noticed, there is no grid in the game. Everything is placed completely freely. And I really love that. Next up, we have the Stonecutters camp. Here's the thing about this. You might have noticed that there is a small brown area around these buildings. For example, the sawmill as well. That means that people don't like to live next to this. And I might not want to place this in the middle of town. Let me see, did we discover another one? No, unfortunately not. Yeah, this is iron, not stone. I kind of wish that we had a next one. Unfortunately, the next nearest one is right here. Okay, fine. I suppose I will place it here, and yeah, the stonecutters can make a small track to reach the deposit, but that's fine. I just don't want them to be next to the village center. Okay then. Next up, I will not build the well yet because, well, I would like to have some idea how the villagers will lay out their houses, and then I will place down the well based on that. But we can place down the gathering hut, and yeah, I suppose next to these guys in the forest. Berries usually appear at the edges of the forest, so yeah, around these places should be fine. Let's just put it here. Alrighty then. Next up, a fisher's hut. I mean, it's not really important, but might as well get started on it. And at the moment we only have a single source of fish. Okay then. Maybe right here should be alright. And that will be just great. Next up. Yeah, at this point, I suppose we can go for the church, but we might want to, well, see how people will lay out their housing. Yeah, let's go for that one. So, to make housing a reality, we'll need to designate these residential zones. And, well, basically people will randomly assign themselves some plot of land in that area, and they will build their houses on that. Also, we have 2 immigrants, let's accept them. And while the tent and the sign is not finished, the actual kiosk is finished, so we can start using it. Let's assign a market tender and tell them to distribute berries. Okay then, let's keep going. So I suppose we can have, let me see, I might want to leave a small street running through here. So tell you what, I will pause the game and I will designate a bit of housing here and a bit of housing here. But I want to leave a empty area in between so people can walk through it. Okay, let's see how people will assign their living arrangements in these areas. Let's just make sure that they can reach the edge of the water, and let's take a look. The first house should appear any second now. Oh, there it is. Wait, is it in the water? Oh no, wait, okay, here's the first one. That was the fishing hut. So here's the first house. I want to make sure that each and every one of these houses actually have a fence. Sometimes they might create an area that is too small for a fencing, but we just need to keep an eye on this. Let me see. There's the next one. This one also has a fence. That's great. Okay, next. Yeah, this one is big enough as well. At the moment, we have 12 people, and one house can have, at least at the start, 2 residents. So we need to have at least 6 houses. So let's keep an eye on that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We will need one more house, but yeah, we don't really have any more space, so we will need to expand these residential zones a little bit more. Also, when we are trimming these back, we need to make sure that we don't trim them back too much. So this should be all right. Yeah, once we get this little icon, that means that we have trimmed back a bit too much, but now it's all right. Okay, and here I suppose this should be safe, yes. Okay, now as I've said, we need one more house, and I suppose, yeah, here should be all right. Let's take a look. If you don't get a house, yeah, there we go, just keep expanding the territory and eventually someone will move in. And let me take a look. Yeah, everyone has a nice little courtyard. I am very particular about this. If I see a house without a courtyard, I will basically demolish them and try to expand their footprint a little bit. Anyways, this will do for now. I will not designate any more areas. I want to control where people live very specifically. Anyways, we will have a nice empty area right here in the middle, so if it comes to it, we can build a nice little bridge right here. Okay then, so people have some housing and all these buildings are being built. Speaking of, we have these finished. Let's have 2 lumberjacks for now, or 1 lumberjack and 1 lumberjill. Next up, I suppose this one should be next. Where are the builders? Oh, we have some more immigrants, that's great. That means that we will need more housing. I think I will leave this space open for a church. Obviously, I want it to be next to the village center, so I suppose we can expand living arrangements this way. Let's see what happens. Ooh, that's a big plot. Let's take a look. Oh yes, I think I like it. Alrighty then. Let's just trim back what we don't need and that will do it. By the way, if you really wanted to, you could use this square brush and basically designate square areas, and you can have 1 people living in this square, another set of people living in this square and all that kind of stuff. But I like to have my villages look a little bit more organic. Anyways, I am a little bit surprised that these guys laid out this road like this. Huh. They usually make a beeline for their destination, but this one looks actually kind of nice. I like it. Yeah, by the way, we cannot really designate the roads, strictly speaking. Wherever people walk, they will carve a path and eventually this will turn into a proper road. I mean, it is already a road, but if we really wanted to, we could use this forbidden designation and basically we can tell them, do not walk here. And well, in that case, they will avoid this area and try to find and carve out another path. But I already like this one, so I will leave them to it. Anyways, I suppose we might as well just go ahead and get started. Oh, no, wait. The forester is done. Let's have 1 forester and designate a foresting area. Let's go ahead and have all this designated for reforesting. There we go. In fact, now that I think about it, I might also want to designate all this to be planted with trees, because as I have said, eventually I might want to use this spot for a little bit of hunting, although all this industrial stuff might already be a little bit too close, but we can try. So we will only cut down trees here, but we will try to forest all this area in, and maybe at some point we can use it for hunting. Anyways, we can cut this one back a little bit. That's going to be just fine. Alrighty then. Next, who are you? Okay, we have a couple of extra people. That's great. So let's go ahead and maybe build a church. For that one, I think I will actually get rid of the trees in this area, but do not get rid of the stone. Not yet. This one needs to stay here for now. Also, we have 8 unemployed villagers, which means let's take a look at the book and let's take a look at the page with the buildings. Yeah, I think we can have 3 woodcutters, 3 builders, and that's it for now. Alright. Can we please hurry up with these? I want to get started on these as well, especially the sawmill, because we will need a lot of planks in the future. Okay then. We just need to get rid of these trees and then we will have a nice empty area for the church. Yes, I am actually demolishing these berry bushes, but that's fine. Basically, as the forest expands, we will have more berries in the area, so it's not going to be a big problem if we remove a couple. Anyways, we have one more person incoming into the village. That is great. And yes, immigrants also carve a path, so eventually all the incoming people will make this one into a small road as well. Anyways, let's accept them and let's take a look at the housing situation. Yes, I think now we need to have at least one more house. Don't mind if I do. And as I said, I would like to have this area for a church, so I guess maybe here. I also want to have this area clean for some other stuff. Yeah, this will be alright. Let's take a look how it looks. Yeah, lovely. Okay. So, can we please hurry up with the resource removal? In fact, if you don't mind, I will actually designate all this to be removed. Yeah. It will take a bit of time because only the builders can do this and they are quite busy with other stuff, but they will get to it eventually. Also, if you have played the earlier versions of the game, you will notice that the houses look completely different. And yes, they look a lot nicer now. At least I think so. And also all these buildings look quite different and they are, I think, a lot more detailed. And I really love that. Okay, the stone cutters are done. Let's see if they can actually work. So let's assign all 3 and they should be able to reach this stone deposit, right? Yes, they are. Great. All right. As long as they can work, it's fine. Next up, I think I will actually prioritize the sawmill and yeah, the berries definitely. Especially the berries. And we have one more person incoming. I think this house should have, yeah, we have one more space in the town or the village. And thank you very much. Welcome aboard. And there we go. Okay. We can assign some foragers. Don't mind if I do, because, well, we need a steady influx of food. And at the start, it is going to be berries. Also, we do have the fishery under construction. Actually, thankfully, we don't have any resources delivered yet. I will actually move this one a little bit. I think... yeah, this one also has a brown area around it. So if you put it here, eventually this house will try to move out and that's not going to be great. So I think, let me see, here was alright, but I think maybe here. Yeah, I think I like it better that way. Okay, let's move it. It's just a single coin for now. Okay, then. This one should be finished fairly quickly now that we actually have some incoming stone. I mean, I suppose we can start planning out the church. We don't have to finalize it just yet. So let's go for that. This is going to be another modular building, and it is a doozy. So first, let me get rid of the new building icons. There we go. So this first church, I don't think I want to have it being too big, but obviously I don't want it to be too small either. So I think I will go with this. Maybe just have a small test chapel. That would be too small. Let's go with this one. A minor nave. Also, villager path blocked. Where are you trying to go? That's fine. You will figure it out. Oh, also, we have the sawmill finished. Let's assign all three. We don't have enough people. Actually, in that case, I will take off one builder and assign them to the sawmill because, sorry, not here, but the sawmill, because we will need a lot of planks. Okay, then let's get back to it. This one already looks rather nice, but I think we can do better. How about we attach this small chapel in the back? Yeah, that looks interesting, but let me see, maybe we can raise it 1 or 2 times. No, I don't think I like it. But let's accept this person. You know what? Instead of making the church long, how about we make it wide instead? So let's have a couple of these side extensions. Yeah, I think I actually like this one already, but you might notice that the roofs don't really line up. Thankfully, we can raise the main building and now they look pretty much perfect. Alright then. If you take a look at the info screen, you will see that we have a couple of requirements that we need to satisfy. This one, rooms, well, that is already taken care of. Now we are a village, lovely. And we also need a bell tower and an entrance. Okay, for the entrance, I don't want to have anything special. Let's just have this humble gate. Great. Yeah, that looks already nice. And now, for the actual church bell tower, we have a choice to make. We have this small icon next to some of them. This little icon, if you remember the village market, it's something similar. Instead of giving us splendor, this will give us light fortification. So this wooden fence means light fortification. Well, this is important for expanding the village. I believe the density, right? Let's take a look. Yeah. To upgrade the density of this housing, we will need to give them light fortification and some patrol coverage. But I think we can deal with that kind of stuff with some other buildings, so I don't think I will build a freestanding bell tower. Let's just have one of these on the roof. Like this. What would it look like if it was in the back? No, it needs to be on the front. Like this also. Let's accept her. That's great. Yeah, I think this little church already looks pretty good. But let's just give them a small cross. Let me see. What would the other one look like? I don't know. This one is a little bit too rustic for my liking. Let's have this one instead. Yeah. Obviously, a stone cross on top of a wooden church doesn't really make sense. Anyways, the area is now pretty clean of trees. Let's go ahead and move this church to its final location. So basically we just double click on one of the buildings that will select everything and we can move them as one. I think maybe right here next to this house. Obviously, if you move it too close, it will demolish that house, but if you put it here, that should be okay. Yeah, I think so. Also, I did leave a bit of extra space in the front because I think I actually want to have a small fenced-off courtyard for this church. Definitely. Okay, first things first. Yeah, a wooden fence I think is going to be pretty good. So let's have a fence gate right here. Technically speaking, we don't need to have a gate, but it looks better that way. Next, let's place down a fence. You know what, let's start on the gate. Let's move it back and let's attach it to this corner on the church. Let's take a look how it looks. Ah, right. This fence is actually facing the wrong way. That is easily remedied. We just need to press this roundabout icon and that will turn it the other way. And now we have the fence post on the inside. Also, if you wanted to, we could actually make this corner not a bend but a straight connection. But you know what? No. I think a bend looks a bit more rustic and we can move this node around. Let's have it here, I guess. Yeah, sure. Maybe on this side I might want to have a small, slightly bigger area basically. Let's go ahead and maybe make it something like this. Yeah, sure. Okay, then this one goes there. Let's take a look. Okay, let's move it a little bit more like this. Oh, just a tiny bit more. That's better, just a smidge. Yeah, that's it. Okay, next, let's make sure these fence posts are actually lining up with the idea that I have. So there. Let's expand this courtyard a little bit and I think, yeah, a nice little circular courtyard for the church. I think I like it. Okay then. People can walk into the church right here and later on we can have a small graveyard or something like that. And that will look great. Okay then, let's build the church. And yeah, I don't think we are encroaching on anything. Although, you know what, maybe move this, not the fence posts, but the fence gate a tiny bit. Maybe here should be alright. So let's take a look. Yes, now we just need to adjust these. Maybe this one can move up a little bit, so it's a little bit more circular. Or we could also make these bends a little bit more sharp, like this. No, I like them more wide. So more like this. Yeah, definitely. Okay then, I think we have a church. Let's go for it. Okay then, what is next? Ooh, next, we will need one transporter in this warehouse. So let's assign them and we can assign a couple of resources to it. So let's have cloth, wood, planks, and tools. And now this transporter will go around and, well, basically pick up resources and bring them right here. And this was necessary because, well, we will need, I believe, 20 planks to unlock the first trade route. And that is going to be quite important. Also, We have a couple of people incoming, and we can assign a fisher. Let's go for it. Let's accept these guys. And speaking of fish, well, we will need to have a couple of, well, at least one more market stall, because, well, we need to distribute the fish as well. Basically, we are editing this market stall and we can add a second one right next to it. So let's go ahead and do, yeah, right here. And well, since we are dealing with fish, let's have a blue tent. Sure. I don't think I will add another food sign, although maybe on this side. Yeah, sure, you know what? More splendor, the better. Yeah, sure, go for it. Okay, then let's take a look at the buildings. Oh, right, we will need one priest, and yeah, we will need a lot more people. But they will come in over time, that's fine. And the church is very much under construction. That's great. Yes, housing is technically speaking inefficient, so, insufficient. I suppose we can have another batch right here. Now, maybe don't make this one too big. Let's have this much space. Let's see how they will deal with it. So let's have this area. We can cut this one back. So let's take a look. Lovely. And let's make sure they have a fence. Yes, they do. Okay. As I've said, I am very particular about that thing. Also, let's take a look. Everyone has a house. No, actually, we did accept more people, so let's go ahead and have a bit more. Yeah, let's just build around the church, I suppose. That looks good already. Yes, great. Okay then. Well, I think maybe we should build a tax office. Because, well, eventually we will run out of money and we might want to get on top of that before it's too late. So, first let's accept this guy. Welcome aboard. And let's go ahead and build a tax office. And this is where monuments will come in. We have this manor house. By the way, in case you're wondering, if you have been watching our vintage story playthrough, you know that I wanted to use a certain game to plan out the house in that game, and this is exactly where we will do that. But that will come a little bit later. First, let's take care of the tax office. Basically, these monuments have certain sub-buildings. One of them is the Great Hall. This is where we will get most of our splendor. This is basically just the seat of our power, and basically it will have a splendor multiplier, and we can use this to grind out all the splendor that we will need. Also, we have this tax office sub-building, and as you might have guessed, this is where we will get our tax. Now, regarding tax, this building will require light fortification. Thankfully, two of these buildings actually offer light fortification, so let's go for this one. This one will give us a little bit more room. Yeah, sure. I think right behind the market makes kind of sense. Yeah, I specifically left this space open for exactly an occasion like this. Let's go ahead and, well, we will only get a single tax collector with this tower, and I would like to have a tiny bit more. So, maybe this vestibule, yes. Okay, if you build this one, we will get 2 tax collectors, and that's going to be enough. Let me see. I think I will attach this one to the back like this. Let's take a look. Not quite. Okay, then that is a good excuse to show you that you do not have to build everything with these snapping points. You can actually turn off snapping by either pressing T or by pressing this little icon on the side of the toolbar. And now it is turned off. So if you move this around, it is no longer attached to that attachment point and it is being moved completely freely. I just want to move it right up against the building so it is touching, but you know, not too much. Yeah, something like this, I think. Basically, if you were using the attachment or the snapping points, let me just show you. If you move this one, for example, attaching to this one, then it will snap into the building a tiny bit too much, at least for my liking. So I like to have it tiny bit out like this. Anyways, let's have an entrance. Doesn't really matter which one. This one is a bit cheaper. Plus it's just a small tower, so I guess this one will do. And you know what? This one is also a tiny bit too far out, so let's move this one into the building as well. Yeah, like this. Looks good on both sides. Okay, next, let's select everything. And I think, as I've said, this will offer us some light fortification, so eventually these houses can be upgraded to be medium density, I suppose. You know what? Let's have this thing right here. In fact, you know what? Let's have this here and we can move these market tents a little bit closer to it so they look like a single construction. Okay then. Everything... Oh, this one moved. Let's move this one back a little bit. There. On the other side it, yeah, also looks good. Okay then. I think the tax office is pretty much good to go. Yeah, sure. Let's build it. Good, and let me move these market tents a little bit. Thankfully, editing buildings is fairly easy. We still need to rebuild them, but it is, I think, an acceptable compromise. So let's have the fish market tent here and the berry market tent right next to it. There. Yeah, I think so. Okay, now we just need to move these signs. This one should be facing out a little bit. There. And this one maybe out this way a tiny bit. There we go. Yeah. You know what? Let's have this one parallel with that one. There, and I suppose, let me see, maybe we can have a small woodshed in the back. No, it's fine. Later on, maybe we can have some more extra barrels once we unlock them. Okay then, I think I like it. Now we just need to move this one where it belongs and we are good to go. Yeah. Let's finalize things. As I've said, some of these market tents will have to be rebuilt, but that's a small price to pay. Okay then, the church is coming along nicely. And how are we on housing? I believe we did accept, yeah, one more person, which means that we will need to give them a house. Maybe we can squeeze them in next to the road like this. Can we do it? This might be too small for them to consider. Yeah, definitely. Let me see. If we get rid of this house, they might go for it. Okay, thankfully we don't have any resources deployed yet, so maybe this will work. There we go. This is promising. And let's take a look. Do we get one more house in here? Maybe need to expand it a tiny bit more. Can somebody move into this spot? Yes, exactly what I was hoping for. Oh yes, that looks lovely. Okay then. Eventually, once this stone deposit goes away, we can have some other building in here, but that can wait. Tell you what, I think we are getting close to the end of the recording, so let me see. I might want to start construction on the manor house. Where is the village edge? Unfortunately, it's right here. What about the wood extraction? I think I will have the manor house. Well, not here. Maybe. And this one is blocked. I mean, should we buy our first territory on the other side of the river? You know what? We have the money for it, let's go for it. And once we start extracting some taxes, we should be okay. Okay, let's buy, yeah, this plot of land. It is rather long, but it doesn't matter which one we buy, they cost all the same. Also, let's accept this one. Thank you. So, let's buy this territory. And first, sorry? Levy funds. Alright, basically, we can ask the people to give us some extra money, but they are not going to be happy about it, and I don't want that, so let's not do that. Anyways, let's build a bridge. So, I specifically left this corridor open for this purpose. Let's start the bridge right here and end it. Let me see. Yeah, I think this will do just fine. Okay, let's build it. Oh, before we build it, let's go ahead and beautify it a little bit. In fact, you know what? I think I will actually have this end more like this. Yes, basically I want to have the supports line up, so basically only have two right in the middle. That is because we can beautify the bridge with these. We can either have these, let's turn on snapping. We can either have these along these lines, or we can have these covered, well, trusses. And, well, I think, let me see, this one will cost us 5 planks, basically the same as these king post trusses. Okay, I think I will have the bridge covered. Okay, so let's have these in the middle, and let's have these end pieces, well, on the ends. Unfortunately, in this pre-release version of the game, this one doesn't snap to the correct position because, technically speaking, it could be either this way or this way, so the game has a little bit of a hard time deciding, so it's not even trying. Let's go with this, and let's go the same on the other side. There, and one more. That should do it. Yeah. So, now we have a nice little bridge. Next. Yeah, we cannot attach these king post trusses anymore, so yeah, this will have to do. Okay then, let's go ahead and build it. This will be a big investment, 60 planks, but it will be well worth it. Let's accept them, and let's take a look. Right, this one is finished. That means that we can have 2 tax collectors. That's great. But all by themselves, they will not do anything. We will actually need to raise taxes. So go ahead and only 31 per month. Yeah, 51 sounds a little bit more promising. Yes, this will lower happiness by 25%, but they will just have to learn to live with it. Anyways, can we please hurry up with the church, because, well, if you give them service, they will be a little bit happier. Basically, right now they are complaining that they don't have... Oh, right, water as well. I completely forgot about that. Let's give them a well. And this well will go... well, here, maybe. Or maybe in the churchyard. No. Maybe in front of the tax office. Here-ish. Or maybe... No. Let's have it in the church courtyard. No. If we are going to have a graveyard here later, I don't feel quite too comfortable about that. Here would make sense, but as you can see, we have a stone deposit in the way. Yeah, let's just have it here. And there, that should do it. There. Okay, definitely want to prioritize this because this will make the people happier. The church is already being prioritized. And speaking of the church, we have 3 people unemployed. Let's select a priest, or in this case, a priestess. That's fine. Okay then, let's accept one more person. And speaking of... yeah, we have a couple of unhoused people, so... where should we expand? I don't think this is going to be big enough for a house, but you know what? I will try. Although, you know what? No, I still want to keep this one empty, because I might want to turn this one into a small thoroughfare later. Okay then, before we say goodbye, let's go ahead and build a small manor house. I will plan the actual layout on this side, and after it's done, I will move it to the other side of the river. So let's go ahead and start planning. If you have watched the Vintage Story episodes, you might know already the general layout of the house. So this will be our Great Hall. As I have said, this is where we will get most of our splendor, because if you take a look, this building or sub-building have a 1.5 multiplier for splendor, and that is great. Also, can we please hurry up with the marketplace as well, please? Thank you. So, this is going to be the main house building, and well, this is the centerpiece of the manor house. Then, if you remember, we have a small passageway on this side. Basically, in Vintage Story, we turned this one into a smithy, but in this game, it's just going to be a passageway. People can walk right through. But in Vintage Story, we blocked off this end because I wanted to turn this one into a smithy. Anyways, that's not important right now. What's important that, well, technically speaking, I don't think I want to have the side building here just yet. There will be a bigger one unlocked later on, and I think I want to wait for that one. Anyways, as you can see, the roofs don't really line up quite as I want, so tell you what, let's raise up the main building, yeah, like this. That looks great. Next, let's have a nice big entrance right here. That looks good. Nothing is being blocked. Sometimes these randomly generated facades can have a moment where, for example, some window is, for example, in this corner, and as you can see, the entrance would block it partially. In that case, free movement would come to the rescue, but in this case, this is fine. Okay then, what else? I suppose we can have a small weather vane on the roof. Let's turn it a little bit so it's not completely parallel with the building. What else? Can we unlock beautification yet? Not yet. Okay, fine. Let's have, you know what? This one. Let's attach it to the side of this passageway. Maybe raise this one up by 1, yes. And we can have this right here. Okay, let's turn off snapping and have this one here. I think so. Okay, let's make sure. I think I like it like this. Okay, just ever so slightly more to the right. Good, and maybe just a little bit more out. Yeah, this will work perfectly fine. Okay, so the 1.5 multiplier for Splendor. If you remember, we need 25 Splendor for the next level, so I don't think this is going to be enough. You know what? Let's build it as it is right now, and later on we can add more stuff to it if necessary. Okay, so let's select everything and let's move this to the other side of the river. Let me see, double click, control click, there we go. Okay, everything's selected. Let's move this to the other side of the river and let's have it... I think here for now, right up against the cliff. Obviously, as you might have guessed, we can move this around to our heart's content later. So we will have the manor house, the grand hall, right here. Yeah, sure. And if you wanted to, we can move it around. You know what? Let's move it here instead. Right, let's build it. Obviously, we need to wait for the bridge before we can get started. That's fine. Anyways, the church is finished. That's lovely. Okay then, what about these guys? Can we please finish up this kiosk? I would like to start distributing fish. Oh, right, the church. Let's take a look at the bell tower. I think... yeah, I think G will be fine. Okay, we can rung the bell weekly, and that's about it. Maybe have a start delay of 1. I don't really know what it does. Let me see how much time before it starts playing in seconds. Whatever. And we will ring it 6 times every time we ring the bells. Okay then, I think we might as well just go ahead and say goodbye because... oh, common pet tier 2. That's great. Well, because... sorry. Yeah, they will sort themselves out, that's fine. So, I would like to say goodbye now because the recording is well over an hour at this point and I do not want to go over. It is very easy to get lost in this game and I will try to guard against that. So, I believe all that is left to say is that thank you for watching. If you like the video, you can leave a like, leave a comment and maybe subscribe to the channel if you want. If you would like to support me a little bit more, you can do so by clicking the join button and becoming a channel member, which will give you an early and ad-free access to these videos. Once again, thank you for watching and thank you very much for your support. I will see you in the next one. Thank you and goodbye.